I'm Anil Mall, representing the Canadian Securities Exchange, and you're watching a CSE listed issuer update. I'm speaking virtually with Cameron Tymstra. He is the CEO and president of Targa Exploration. Of course, it trades on the CSE and the symbol is TEX. Cameron, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I hope you're well.
I'm well. Thank you, Anil. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. So, Cameron, the company itself is a lithium company with a focus on Canadian projects. Let's jump into this by talking a little bit about Canada and why investors should be paying attention to not only Canadian mining, but specifically mining for materials that then are used in battery technology.
Of course. So we like Canada for a lot of reasons, but they kind of fall into two categories. One is the location, proximal to where we see a lot of the downstream demand coming for things like lithium and lithium-based chemicals, things like lithium carbonate, lithium hydroxide. We're seeing a lot of new battery facilities being built in the United States. They're trying to make sure that they have a lot of domestic supply to support that future demand for electric vehicles within the US. And of course, being right next door to them, we can take advantage of that and take advantage of the existing interrelationships we have with our auto sector here in Canada and the US, particularly in places like Ontario and Quebec. The second reason why we really like Canada for looking for lithium is really the geology and the fact that Canada has one of the best publicly available databases in the world for geological information. And that's been gathered over the past 150 years because companies are required to produce assessment reports when they have mineral claims here in Canada. They do work on those claims. So we have a ton of data available from those. And we have a lot of data available from the federal and provincial level geological surveys as well. So we've been using this data to take a more grassroots approach to looking for lithium pegmatite type deposits here in Canada. We have probably the largest exposed Archean craton than any other country has. And we've seen lithium pegmatite deposits discovered from the Northwest Territories all the way over to Nova Scotia and all the provinces in between there. So our portfolio covers properties in Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. So we really love Canada for a lot of these reasons. It's both the geology and also just our proximity to the US and where we see a lot of this demand coming from in the future.
So, Cameron, I really appreciate that insight to start off. Now, you briefly mentioned some of the provinces that you have projects in, but let's just jump into this with an introduction to Targa Exploration, the vision. What is your focus here?
So we listed in September of last year, so we're still a bit of a new issuer. In the past 12 months, we've really focused on building our portfolio of early stage lithium exploration assets. So we acquired our first three projects from Kenorland Minerals in December of last year. That's our Apanaka project in Quebec and two of our projects in Manitoba, two of which are actual historic occurrences of spodumene, which is one of the principal minerals that contains lithium. So we're very excited about those projects and hope to be getting on them probably in the spring of next year. And we've also built a portfolio out by acquiring assets from Sean Ryan, certainly a legendary prospector here in Canada, very famous for large gold discoveries that he's helped make. He's now been applying his sort of strategy of using geochemistry and geochemistry databases, things like soil sampling and lake sediment sampling that he's used successfully to make gold discoveries. He's been applying that same process to looking for lithium deposits as well. So we acquired a number of really exciting projects from him earlier this year. And we've acquired some other projects in Ontario, Saskatchewan, and more recently from a private company called Northern Lithium, which was started by the likes of Leo Hathaway and John Robbins, who are now strategic advisors to Targa Exploration. A number of projects from them in the Quebec and Ontario areas as well.
So a strong team that you've aligned with here. I know you mentioned Sean Ryan briefly. For anyone that might not know what the significance is when you mention that name, you want to just give us a quick little Cole's notes on why he's so important?
So Sean's made some very big gold discoveries up in the Yukon. That's kind of where he got started in the prospecting business. He relies very heavily on things like soil sampling. So he's taken, I think, hundreds of thousands of soil samples in the Yukon area looking for gold deposits and using that geochemistry, not just to look for gold values, but other elements that can indicate presences of gold deposits. And he's now applying that similar approach to look for lithium deposits as well. So not just looking for lithium values in soil samples and lake sediment samples, but also things like rubidium, cesium, tantalum, other elements that are often concentrated in these types of lithium deposits that we're looking for. And so the assets that we acquired from him in Quebec earlier this year cover large areas that have very high concentrations of those elements in the lake sediment sample database. Quebec has a massive lake sediment sample database that basically covers the entire province. So he's gone out and really analyzed that data and taken a step back and said, okay, well, let's look away from where some of the previously discovered lithium deposits are in Quebec and look at other parts of the province that are, potentially using this geochemical data set to kind of hone in on those prospective areas.
With all the interest that we've been recently, well, over the last little while, seeing in this battery metal, lithium, graphite, copper, that sort of space, base metals, but do you have any peers that are in this space and in the same region, I should say? And what makes you and your team stand out from these peers?
Yeah, there's been a ton of newly listed companies looking for lithium in the last sort of 18 months. A lot of companies, probably too long of a list to name, but a lot of those companies maybe formerly looked for other minerals and decided to transition into lithium. I mean, the perfect example and sort of the peer that we're striving to become is somebody like Patriot Battery Metals. They made a big discovery in Quebec called their Corvette deposit. It's now probably the largest lithium pegmatite deposit in the country. They have over 1 million tons in their maiden resource, and they're still drilling it out. It's getting bigger and bigger. But they originally weren't actually looking for lithium. They went out looking for gold and copper, and they knew that it was maybe some lithium on a property. And they hit a huge drill hole of almost 150 meters, I think, on their first hole of almost 1% lithium oxide. And from then on out, they only focused on lithium. So that's certainly the size of the prize that's available out there. I think they created at least $1 billion in market value in 18 months from discovery. We really don't see that in other commodities. If you want to look at it almost like a gold equivalent basis, it kind of looks like it's probably close to 20 million ounces gold equivalent in terms of those grades and those sizes. So that's really the size of the prize and what we want Targa to be and the potential value that you can create on a discovery in this sector.
Cameron, I'd like to talk a little bit about your background. Can you fill us in on how you got into this space?
Yeah, so I'm not a geologist. I'm a mining engineer by background, but I do find the lithium geology quite interesting, probably because it's a little more simple and easier for an engineer to understand. But I spent the last sort of 15 years or so primarily working in mineral exploration, from looking for uranium in the Yukon to gold in Paraguay and Mexico and iron ore in the United States. I came to join the Inventa Capital group of companies based out of Vancouver several years ago to work on a company in Mexico called Tarachi Gold. And I transitioned over to working with Targa Exploration in the spring of this year. So I've been heading Targa since I think about April or May this year. It's been very exciting so far. I was really excited when I was asked to come join them over at Targa, because I think this opportunity is really exciting, both because of the element that we're looking for, lithium. It's very, the demand is really accelerating over the next sort of 5 and 10 years for this commodity. So, unlike most commodities where demands are kind of fluctuating a little bit, but also because of the portfolio and the group that we put together. So we have an incredible team here at Targa. We just built a new strategic advisory board that we may even be looking to add some other people to. It includes John Robbins, Leo Hathaway, Craig Perry from Inventa Capital. So we've got a great team behind us here at Targa.
Well said. Before we jump into where our viewers can go, obviously sign up for your press releases, read up on your team, and follow you guys through your journey. What are some of the milestones our viewers can look out for from you and your team as we close off 2023 and go into 2024?
Absolutely. So we recently completed some field work on a few of our projects, particularly over in Quebec this year. We just wrapped up a big till sampling program at Alpanaca, which is in the James Bay region of Quebec. We took close to 1,000 deep till samples there, looking for these lithium indicator minerals. And we expect to have the results from that program probably coming in around the end of November. We should have some other results from a few of our other field programs coming in around the same time. So November, December, we should see some news releases regarding some of the early stage field work that we completed this year. And we'll be using that data kind of over the cold winter months to plan some budgets and some field work for the new year, hopefully getting to our big projects in places like Manitoba and northern Saskatchewan in the spring and early summer.
Got it. Cameron, I'd like to give at least a minute of the last little bit to yourself. I want you to address our viewers on why they should be paying attention, not only to your team and company, but this space and Canada as a whole.
So, I think specifically speaking to Targa, we've got one of the largest portfolios in Canada, specifically targeting early grassroots exploration for lithium. We have over 400,000 hectares that we control 100% of. That's spread across 15 different projects in 4 different provinces. So we're very well diversified in terms of, increasing our chances of discovery success, trying to get as many shots on net. Obviously, a lot of these early stage projects aren't going to pan out, but we'll be looking to sort of curate our portfolio of assets as we go forward, drop the smaller ones that maybe, don't show as much promise after the first phase of exploration, but always looking to acquire some new ones. And we're really staying focused on Canada for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, Neil, in terms of that location to the downstream demand, where people are actually going to be manufacturing these batteries and needing these lithium resources, and being in a country that's very supportive of this sector. Not only do we have the ability to raise money through the flow-through space to limit dilution, to fund our field programs, but there's also additional critical mineral-specific tax incentives now that have come in the last 1 or 2 years that we can take advantage of as well when it comes time to raise some money for our field programs. So a ton of advantages for being in Canada. That's why so far we've stuck to this country, and should be a pretty exciting year next year as we kind of launch some additional field programs on our new projects.
Perfect recap. Now I want you to direct our viewers to your website. Where can they go to sign up for press releases, read up on your projects and the team?
Yeah, you can go to www.targaexploration.com, sign up for our newsletter and any press releases that we have coming out so you don't miss a thing like that. Obviously, you can find us on the CSE listed under TEX. And we look forward to having some press releases coming out in the next couple of months regarding some results from our field programs.
Excellent. Cameron, I look forward to hosting you on, let's say, in the first 3 months of the year to talk about some of the progress. Myself and our team at the CSE wish you and your team nothing but success as you move down this path. And to everybody watching, you've been listening to Cameron Tymstra. Cameron is the president and CEO of Targa Exploration. Cameron, thanks again for taking a few minutes to talk to us today.
Thanks, Anil.
Cheers.